obviously these disputes with Amazon, now very familiar, a familiar playbook they are using. What is your take on Amazon throwing its weight around yet again?
Well, I'd love to believe it's for the consumers, but I don't, because we know what the consumers want. They want to get their content where they want it, when they want it. It used to be a cliche. Now it's an absolute truism. So I would imagine it has to be for them continued effort to claw their way to some form of profitability.
What about you, Paul? I mean, we're seeing this again and again from Amazon. I mean, this Hachette dispute has been going on for 4 months. No one's backing down.
Yeah, no one's backing down. You know, you've got pretty entrenched interests on both sides, which has been a pretty good example of where the problems are in the system. You have someone with a real, lockhold on an awful lot of distribution, which is obviously Amazon. Then you have a relatively small number large number of content producers through, going through various publishing houses in the case of text publishing or through digital distribution who are then focused through those points. And so each of those choke points creates people who think they have an awful lot of power in terms of distribution. And so you get this classic, almost a game theory problem where everybody feels like they have monopoly power and can lock the other side out. And so they stay out for long periods of time. They're able to lock each other out, and there's no way to end run it. So, it's going to be interesting to watch whether or not, my take is this is going to cause a lot more of a push towards more digital distribution from Disney and others, because they say, I don't want someone standing between me and my consumers, regardless of whether or not Amazon's trying to suit itself or drive prices down for consumers. That's irrelevant from Disney's standpoint.
In this case, it's obviously Amazon making the move. However, Disney is also known for pulling its own content. I tried to buy The Lion King at home the other day. I would have paid, $25 for it, and it's nowhere. It's not on Amazon Prime. It's not on Apple TV. It's not on my cable on demand. Mike, from the point of view of LA and the people who are making this, companies who are making this content, who has the power?
Well, Disney's always practiced a dynamic inventory. They have certain titles that are not available at certain times. But fundamentally, they're usually pretty pro-consumer. We tend to say content is king. I think there's a lot of distribution avenues. I looked up some block Disney DVDs today and had no problem finding them on Google. I mean, they both got a little bit of power. Prices are going to come down. Digital streaming is definitely going to go up. But hard for me to see how Amazon comes out looking like the good guy on this one.
Right, but does Amazon win anyway? I mean, Paul, who's actually going to be the victor here when it comes down to it?
In the short run, Amazon's likely to extract some concessions. I don't know how much. So, there's the potential for consumers to get lower prices and Amazon to be a little more profitable, possibly. I think in the longer run, the winner is going to be consumers who find that, suddenly they're able to get product through different channels and don't have to rely so much on places like Amazon, because this is just going to, speed up the process by which everything comes sort of over the top and around and avoids these sorts of lock points like Amazon. And in the short run, it's also going to drive things like torrenting and other behaviors like that. I mean, it's remarkable how short-sighted people can be about the market's willingness to find ways around any sorts of blockage like this.
Well, what's funny is that Amazon is saying, well, you can't buy it here, but you can buy it at Best Buy. I mean, they're directing people to their competitors. I don't understand. What's the point?
Yeah. And there isn't one, right? I mean, that's the point.
The point
isn't there isn't one. It's purely punitive. And right.
Go ahead, Mike.
Sounds like a lot of manipulation. Sounds like some testing. Sounds like digital analytics on steroids.
Paul, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on the Hachette dispute. Also, in particular, Amazon over the weekend is calling on authors to literally email the CEO of Hachette. They published this guy's email, the CEO, Michael Peach. At the same time, you have authors as famous as Malcolm Gladwell, Stephen King, signing an anti-Amazon petition. It's so funny because we've talked to authors on both sides of this dispute. The bottom line is Amazon is saying ebooks should be cheaper. Publishers are driving prices up, and then you have authors who are on one hand loyal to publishers and some on the other, want to sell books.
Yeah, and there's the tension, you know, in a lot of ways right there. I mean, it breaks down at the idea, for example, of even publishers' advances. You know, most publishers don't earn back the advance that they give out to authors. The economics of the book publishing industry are broken and have been broken for so long. So in many ways, this represents a rearguard attempt to try and support those broken economics on the standpoint of the publishing industry. And, you know, one way or the other, it's going to break down. You know, it has to break down because consumers want it to break down. They don't see the rationale for having ebooks be the same price as print books. You know, even if it's not just about the cost of production, it's about, you know, value and everything else. That just doesn't wash whenever you're a consumer watching what happens. And so, you know, I think on this one, it's going to be very difficult to hold back the tide.